All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a financial strategy that pretty much turns conventional startup wisdom on its head. Instead of chasing speed, this whole plan is about building an unshakable foundation. We're going to break down a $1.5 million plan that's designed for one thing: creating a structural advantage. This one sentence, it's the key to this whole thing. You know, in a world that is just obsessed with being first, this philosophy is all about being the one that lasts, being hard to copy. Keep that idea in your head as we walk through how every single dollar in this plan is engineered to hit that one specific goal. So, where do we start? What's the first big move here? Well, it's a fundamental transformation. The goal is to evolve from a high-touch practice led by a single founder into a scalable defense platform that's driven by intellectual property you can actually license. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? On the left, you've got a model that's totally dependent on the founder's direct involvement. It's powerful for sure, but it's also a bottleneck. On the right, that's the future. A platform built on durable, defensible intellectual property. This is how personal expertise becomes a real, repeatable, scalable asset. So how do you actually fuel a transformation like this? Well, this is definitely not a spray and pray approach to funding. Let's take a look at the specific funding request and, more importantly, the super disciplined philosophy that dictates how every single dollar gets spent. So, the number is $1.5 million. But it's not just a pile of cash, right? This is runway fuel. It's designed to give the company an 18-month window to hit specific milestones, letting them build leverage without ever sacrificing quality or trust. And this slide is where you really see the discipline kick in. I mean, look at what they're not doing on the right there. No vanity metrics, like just inflating the team. No chasing after the mass market. Instead, the focus is squarely on the left, encoding systems that are already proven, building assets that actually grow in value, and increasing leverage. It's all about depth, not just breadth. This breakdown, it just makes that philosophy totally clear. The biggest slice of the pie, a full 35%, is going straight to IP development. This isn't a budget for a flashy marketing campaign. It's a budget for building the core, defensible asset of the entire company. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to break down each of these 4 buckets and see how they all work together, how they reinforce each other to create something way bigger than the sum of its parts. This gives us a really clear picture of what this funding is meant to achieve. Okay, the biggest chunk right here. Over $500,000. And it's all about one thing: turning that founder's know-how, their hard-won experience, and field-tested systems into something tangible and real, something defensible and licensable. This is the absolute key to moving from just a service to a real platform. So we're not just talking about abstract ideas. We're talking about taking stuff that's been proven in the field, like actual response playbooks and defense frameworks, and writing it all down, codifying it. It's about building the architecture for certifications and getting the legal structure right so it can be protected. In short, it's about making genius repeatable. Next up, education. And they're really clear about this. This isn't about just selling a bunch of online courses. No, think of it more like a force multiplier. It's designed to pre-qualify demand, make things easier for clients, and just generally raise the standards across the industry. So what does that look like? Well, the money's going into building out a legit certification, translating the founder's knowledge into media that can scale, and developing a library of real-world case studies. Each one of these things supports the main mission, which is institutional adoption, not mass market course sales. Now, when it comes to getting the word out, this is interesting. They're completely sidestepping the whole mass marketing game. Instead, the focus is on embedding their protection standards way upstream through channels where trust is already high. We're talking teams, agencies, and leagues. See, the whole idea is to go where that trust is already built in. The money is spent building those key institutional relationships and structuring licensing deals. The end game is to make their protection the expected standard inside these organizations, not some one-off product you have to sell them on. Okay, last piece of the puzzle: how do you scale this thing? Well, the plan is pretty explicit about avoiding aggressive hiring. Instead, the focus is on building systems and processes to make the company less dependent on the founder. That's how you maintain quality as you grow. This right here, this is how you scale something as tricky as judgment. You invest heavily in documenting workflows, creating standard operating procedures, and bringing in very targeted specialist support. You get leverage through systems, not just by throwing more people at the problem. Okay, so you spend all this money, you do it in this super disciplined way. What do you get at the end of the day? What's the big payoff? Well, let's look at the ultimate objective, building a deep, defensible moat around the business. That $1.5 million, it basically buys them an 18-month runway to knock down these huge milestones. Within a year and a half, the plan is to have the core IP totally codified, the certification frameworks ready to go, and the first major institutional partner signed on. It's a really clear path to proving that this whole model works. And this is the real ROI. The outcome isn't just about getting bigger. It's about building a company that is fundamentally more defensible. A company whose unique value is crystal clear, whose position in the market is secure, and whose core systems are incredibly difficult for any competitor to just come in and copy. I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The entire $1.5 million strategy is engineered to make the company tougher, more resilient, and way more durable. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. In a world that is so obsessed with speed, what's the real value of building something that's just harder?